One man, one mountain fortress, two massive armies. In this epic story of strategy and sacrifice, discover how Julius Caesar used walls of dirt and genius to crush a nation and rise to power. For years, they had watched their lands fall one by one to the relentless advance of Rome. Their forests burned, their warriors slain, their people enslaved. But now, under a single banner, they united, led by a young, defiant chieftain named Vercingetorix. This is the siege of Alesia, like you've never seen it before. In 52 BCE, the Gallic tribes were done kneeling. His legions were exhausted. Supplies were short, but Caesar didn't flinch. He knew this siege would make or break his conquest of Gaul and his own political future. The Gallic uprising shook the Roman world. And in response, Rome sent not just legions, but Caesar himself. He was a master of hit-and-run tactics, using scorched earth strategies to deprive the Romans of supplies. Now, in the stronghold of Alesia, he prepared to outlast Caesar in a brutal siege. This was not just another battle. This was a war for the future of Gaul, and it would be decided at one place, Alesia. It was genius. Alesia wasn't just a city. It was a fortress carved into a mountaintop, surrounded by steep slopes and natural defenses. Vercingetorix retreated there with over 80,000 warriors. But Julius Caesar didn't plan to wait. He planned to trap. They didn't. Caesar refused them passage. They starved in the no man's land between both armies, a grim reminder of the siege as horror. From the mountain fortress, Vercingetorix's warriors roared. The Romans were now sandwiched between two raging forces. The Roman general, already a legend for his brutal efficiency, was outnumbered and far from home. Not just any wall, a complete circumvallation around the city. 11 miles of trenches, palisades, wooden towers, and traps designed to lock the Gauls in. Night assaults, coordinated attacks, siege ladders, battering rams. The sky lit up with fire and steel. At times, Roman lines buckled. Discipline barely held. Nothing would enter. Nothing would leave. Alesia would starve. Panic rippled through the Roman ranks. Caesar, ever the commander, donned his crimson cloak, mounted his horse, and rode to the front lines. His presence alone rallied the troops. What Caesar ordered next was one of the boldest moves in military history. Instead of storming the fortress, he built a wall, 14 miles of fortifications to keep the relief army out. And though Caesar celebrated it as a great triumph, many saw it as a warning of his growing power. Not just swords and shields, but stone, sweat, and steel. The siege stands as a testament to Roman engineering, discipline, and Caesar's ruthless brilliance. But Caesar wasn't done. But ancient sources agree. Alesia was real, and it changed the fate of a continent. Vercingetorix, realizing the war was lost, mounted his horse one final time. He knew the Gallic tribes wouldn't let their leader rot in Alesia, so he ordered a second wall, this time facing outwards. In essence, Caesar and his men trapped themselves between two enemies, the army inside Alesia, and the massive Gallic reinforcements that were surely coming. It was insane. He returned to Rome a hero, with the wealth, power, and army that would soon make him dictator for life. The siege began. Inside the city, food began to run low. Desperate, Vercingetorix sent the women and children out of the gates, hoping the Romans would show mercy. Then came the moment Caesar had anticipated. A massive Gallic relief army, over 200,000 strong, descended on Alesia. Trumpets sounded across the plains. What followed was one of the most intense and chaotic battles of the ancient world. Wave after wave of Gallic warriors crashed into Caesar's outer defenses. At one critical moment, the Gauls breached a section of the outer wall. With a sudden cavalry charge, Caesar smashed the breach and pushed the Gauls back into retreat. Inside Alesia, Vercingetorix watched in horror. His plan was unraveling. Food was gone. His warriors were starving. Morale was shattered. And then, silence. The relief army, unable to break Caesar's iron ring, withdrew. The next morning, he rode down from Alesia and surrendered. In a dramatic scene, he laid his weapons at Caesar's feet. A proud warrior brought low by Roman engineering and determination. The victory at Alesia wasn't just a military triumph. It was the end of Gallic resistance. Rome would rule Gaul for centuries. And Caesar? But Alesia came at a cost. Tens of thousands died. Entire villages were wiped out. A culture was crushed under Roman boots. Blood and bronze. That's what it took to take Alesia. Even today, historians debate its scale. The fortifications, the numbers, the tactics, they seem too grand, too ambitious. The battle was over, but Caesar's war was just beginning. If you enjoyed this journey into one of the most daring rebellions Rome ever faced, like, subscribe, and join us as we uncover more twisted, epic, and untold stories of the ancient world.